So my recent trip to the Virgin Islands got me thinking about what life was like before and what life is like now. So I wanted to start a new playlist on the Transcending Pain YouTube channel to talk about life before I got well, when I was sick, before I even got sick, what happened kind of along the way through the sickness, and what life is like now after being sick and having found freedom and all of that. So I'm going to tell you about my recent trip to the Virgin Islands and show you some things that to you might just look like clothing or jewelry. But for me, they mean something entirely different. And I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about it. So, I'm going to start by saying I was sick for a really long time. But the bulk of my sickness and like when things were really, really difficult, I was in my teenage and early adult years. And that's when I would consider like myself the sickest. And I saw the most specialists. I was on the most medications and seeking the most treatments. So there was a time before that in my early childhood where I was constantly sick. I was constantly in the doctor. I always had aches and pains and headaches and whatever. But I had, there was so much of my life that was kind of normal. I went to slumber parties, I played sports, and I had a normal childhood from the outside looking in. Throughout my time in childhood, I experienced a lot of bullying and I was very insecure. I did not have any self-esteem, and I was always trying to find a way to get people to notice me or like me or to impress other people. And when I went to high school, that I felt like that was my opportunity to make a new name for myself because I had been in the same school with the same kids for 9 years. And part of it being this like new person and trying to make a new name for myself was it was all about fashion. I loved fashion. I wanted to be, I was really torn at one point in my life between two professions. One was being a fashion designer, the other was being a meteorologist. So I know very different career paths, but I was really into fashion. I was always studying the new looks and trends and what the designers were putting out like way ahead of time before they made it to mainstream culture. And I was really into that. But when I look back and reflect, I wonder if I was actually passionate about fashion, or was I just desperate to get people to notice me and like me and think that I was cool and not this weird girl? So, part of my healing journey, if you will, or this uncovering of layers of how I got to be this sick person and how I ended up finding freedom was really taking a look at my personality, the way that I was showing up in life, my thoughts, my beliefs, my behaviors, and really examining them. And one of the things that I took a look at was clothing. So I was thinking about it when I was packing for this trip. And, I hadn't been to the Virgin Islands in 15 years. And the last time I went to the Virgin Islands, I had recently spent 3 weeks in the pediatric pain rehab program at the Cleveland Clinic. And I was basically terrified of everything. I was feeling better, not completely normal, but I had improved a lot while I was there. And I still had a lot of fear about things, particularly about the sun. I was terrified of the sun, and I always had very fair skin, and I was always having to coat up with sunscreen in the summers, and I was scared of the sun. There was a period in my life where I wouldn't go without wearing long sleeves and pants and sunscreen, and I would be driving my car and I would put a blanket or a jacket or something on the left side of my arm so that the sun coming in from the windshield would not burn me. So I was really, really concerned about that. And I'm going to try to find a picture of myself from when I went to the Virgin Islands back in 2011, I think it was. And because all the pictures of me, I coated sunscreen on my, like sunscreen. So I was like completely white. I look kind of like an alien in all of these pictures. But anyway, in packing for this trip, I was just so excited because I had so much freedom about what I was going to pack. I could pack whatever I wanted. And I actually ended up buying this three-piece suit. And this had nothing to do with being afraid of the sun. And it had more to do with maximizing my snorkeling experience and being able to snorkel as long as possible without having to take up time applying sunscreen, reapplying sunscreen, whatever. So I found this three-piece suit on, I think, Amazon. And these shorts, the worst thing, I don't know if you've ever, especially, I don't know, like if you're a female and you've gotten burnt on your butt, it's not a pleasant experience. So I was really excited about having these shorts as an option so that when I'm snorkeling, I didn't have to worry about that. And I got this sun shirt. Again, this was not out of fear of the sun, but more of like, I don't have to spend as much time applying sunscreen, which is amazing. So the experience, I can't even tell you the drastic change in experience. And this, I'm telling you, was a process of learning to be able to embrace the fear and let go of the fear so that I can completely enjoy myself. And it was a process. Another thing that I ended up purchasing that helped with the sun, but it had nothing to do with fear of the sun, was this hat. And check this out. There's a ponytail holder in the back of this because I'm always, you know me, I always have my hair up or something. So super excited about that. I hate having, this is something I was actually talking to one of my coach friends about. The hypersensitivity to sensory things is something that I still am working on. I was always very concerned about like how clothing fit me. And as far as like the fashion goes, like I was really into fashion at one point in time. I never wore the same thing twice, like in high school. I never wore the same outfit twice. I had a slight shopping addiction and I was always buying new things. But after I was obsessed with this fashion and I started getting really, really sick, it became less about what I looked like and more about how I felt comfort wise. And I would wear clothes that were extremely too big on me. I would wear bras that were not like hardly even touching my skin. I would wear, everything was too big for me because anything that applied any type of pressure was so painful for me. And being able to just pack whatever I want and wear whatever I want now has been amazing. But the sensory stuff, I'm still noticing I have some of those things. So it's like, as far as like hair on the back of my neck, like if I were to wear my hair down and in the sun and the hot and the heat and whatever, and have that sticking to my neck with this hat on, like, no, no, no. So give me a ponytail holder so I can keep that off my neck. So I'm still have some room to grow is what I'm saying. But okay, what else do I have to show you? One of the things, so okay, speaking of fashion, so okay, pause. Okay. So one of the things that I've always just been this very creative, artistic person, and I've really enjoyed just making things and creating things. And I had designed sketches in my sketchbook for fashion and whatever. And back when I was in middle school, I took sewing classes. And recently, when you're sick, when you're really sick, you don't have time for hobbies. All you're thinking about is survival. So recently, now that I have all this freedom, I started getting, well, even before I like found freedom, I realized the importance of getting back into hobbies. And that was actually part of finding freedom. But now that I am completely free, I just want to soak up every moment and enjoy every single moment. So, one of the ways I've been doing that is by getting together on the weekends with my mom and my sisters, and we've been doing sewing projects together. So, I set a goal to make a skirt and two pairs of shorts before this vacation so that I can bring them on vacation. So, I'm going to show you them. So, the first thing I made is this skirt, and it has pockets, of course. Pockets. Love me some pockets. So, made the skirt, brought this skirt. I made this fun pair of shorts, and they have little pockets in the back, and they have pockets on the side. So that was a fun project. Elastic is not my friend, I will tell you that. Definitely got to practice feeling all the emotions, anger, frustration, while making these sewing projects. If you are looking for a way to hone your perfectionism and utilize your perfectionism at the same time practicing acceptance of imperfection, sewing is a great way to do that. I'm just going to say that. Okay, so I also made these shorts, and has this like little tie in the front, and then of course pockets. So that was really fun. Another thing, fashion wise, shopping wise, that was a really big deal for me is, so I used to love jewelry. Love it. Love jewelry. I actually made some jewelry in high school. And it's something that I had to stop wearing. I did not wear jewelry. I did not wear earrings. I did not wear necklaces. I did not wear rings, bracelets, anything for years because everything hurt me. I actually used to have a bunch of piercings in my ears, my tragus, my rook, my cartilage. And I ended up letting go of all those piercings at one time because I was always having to get scans and MRIs. And of course, every time you do that, you have to take out the jewelry. And my life just became so small when I was sick. But now I get to build my life back up and I get to fill it with all these wonderful, beautiful things. So I made my first purchases of jewelry in years while I was on vacation. I was actually looking for specifically a necklace. I wanted to buy a necklace for vacation, but I decided, you know what? Why don't I just wait and look for something on our trip? So I'm always looking for ways whenever I travel. I like to support local artists, and that is so if I get any type of souvenir thing, it's always something artistic from a local artist. So I ended up purchasing this necklace from a local artist. I got some rings. I don't know if you're familiar with St. John. The hook ring or bracelet is their signature special thing, along with the St. John opal. And it has this petroglyph. So this is the petroglyph, the St. John petroglyph. They don't exactly know what it means, but they suspect the indigenous people thought that gods were coming down and they were actually bats. So that's the best theory that they have. I also got a little anklet from a local artist, and I got another little pair of earrings. I told you a while ago that I wear the same earrings all day, every day until one falls out, like I lose one. But I got really excited when I saw these. I mean, the Larimar is a Caribbean, that's from the Caribbean, and the Virgin Islands is a very special place for me. It was the first time I just remember being able to just try to relax, like after going through the pediatric pain rehab program at the Cleveland Clinic, and going to the Virgin Islands was just this. Although there was a lot of fear and I wasn't feeling my best, I felt like I didn't have to worry about anything. I could just not have to worry about anything. Of course, like I was terrified of getting sunburnt and whatever, but I wasn't having to go to therapy all day, every day, or whatever. Like I could just be for a moment. And so it's just this very healing place for me. And I just wanted to soak up every minute of it. So this could go on and on and on forever. But what I want to say is if you are trying to find freedom from chronic symptoms, I encourage you, take a look at like how you're spending your time. How are you creating joy? How are you being able to find ways to be creative and playful and consider what you actually like and desire and want for yourself? What are your hobbies that you used to have that you completely let go of because you're sick? How can you incorporate a little bit of that into your life today? What do you really want to get back to? Like if you didn't have any symptoms right now, what would you be doing? And just see if you can find a bite-sized way to bring that back into your life. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm curious if this was helpful or if you enjoyed it. I'm open to all kinds of feedback. So let me know in the comments what you think of this video. I've been thinking about doing more of these, just kind of like the before and after, the process, like what it was like, what happened, what it's like now. Would you like to see more of this? Let me know. See you guys.